Is Jikook friendship in danger? What did Jungkook just confess about Jimin that left ARMY in tears? Could this be the most emotional turning point in BTS history? Click, comment, like, and subscribe if you believe in Jikook's unbreakable bond. Because what you're about to read might change everything you thought you knew. Jungkook's voice trembled slightly as he looked into the camera, a softness in his gaze that felt both familiar and newly fragile. The room was quiet, only his breathing audible, as millions of armies tuned in across the world, waiting, anticipating, wondering what was going through his heart. And then came the words that sent shockwaves through the fandom. Please take care of our friendship. Jimin and I, we've been through more than you know. From that very second, the atmosphere changed. This wasn't just another live. This wasn't just a casual mention of a member. This felt like a plea. A raw, aching truth buried beneath years of laughter, memories, and brotherhood. Jungkook had spoken about Jimin before, but never like this. Never with this weight. Never with this subtle sadness wrapped in gratitude. It was as if he was asking for something. Or maybe, was it protection? The chat exploded with hearts and questions. Was something wrong? Had something happened between them? Or was Jungkook just overwhelmed by the love he felt for someone who had been by his side through every step of their journey? From trainees in shared dorms to global superstars, standing beneath blinding lights. But this time it felt different. It felt urgent. He continued, Jimin Young has always been there, even in silence. Even when I didn't know I needed someone. He noticed when I was tired. He knew when I was overthinking, and he always reminded me that I'm enough. His voice cracked on that last line. The emotion was unmistakable. He paused, looked down, then smiled, a bittersweet curve of the lips that spoke volumes. Sometimes people don't see what we share. They misunderstand it. They overanalyze. But to me, Jimin is family. And sometimes, I feel like people forget that friendships can be sacred too. The weight of his words settled deep in the hearts of armies. It wasn't just a casual tribute. It was a revelation, a reminder that amidst the chaos of fame and expectations, there still lived a deeply human connection, pure, delicate, and fiercely protected. What made Jungkook speak up now? Why this moment? Why this sudden urge to ask ARMY to help take care of a friendship that has lasted more than a decade? Fans began to speculate. Was it a misunderstanding, a rumor, or perhaps a subtle response to growing narratives online that pit the members against each other, tearing apart what they so tenderly built? I know how much you all care about us, Jungkook whispered, eyes glistening. But I ask you, don't let your love for one of us become hate for another. Jimin Hyung doesn't deserve that. None of us do. The comments flooded in with apologies, confessions, declarations of love, and promises to protect the Jikook bond at all costs. Some cried. Some stayed silent, but all felt the weight of what was said, because Jungkook rarely opened up like this, and when he did, it meant something was stirring. Was this the calm before a storm, or the gentle reminder that storms had already passed, and it was time for healing? Jungkook leaned back, looked up at the ceiling and said, There were nights when I questioned everything, but Jimin was always there to anchor me, and now I want to be that for him too. Those words, so simple yet so heavy, triggered a tidal wave of emotion. Armies began sharing their favorite Jikook moments. From old interviews where Jimin held Jungkook's hand backstage when he was nervous, to clips of Jungkook quietly adjusting Jimin's mic or wiping something off his face. All those soft, almost unnoticed gestures suddenly took on a new light. These weren't just fan service moments. They were glimpses into a friendship that had weathered the test of time and pressure. Jungkook's plea wasn't just for Jimin. It was a request for all of them, for every member, for the legacy of BTS and the bond that stitched them together, but especially for the one he called the person who knows my silence better than my words. And just when fans thought he had said it all, Jungkook leaned closer to the camera and asked, Will you promise me? Will you help protect this friendship? Not just today, but always? The screen trembled with waves of emotion. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. Armies from every corner of the globe typed, cried, and whispered promises into the night. But the question still hangs in the air. Why now? Was it a warning? A message? Or simply a moment of pure love? One thing is certain. Jungkook's words will echo through the fandom for years to come. And as long as the Jikook bond lives, so does the heart of BTS. So what do you think, ARMY? Do you believe in Jikook's friendship? Have you ever seen a moment between them that touched your soul? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this story if your heart is still beating after reading this. And subscribe for more stories that pull you deeper into the heartbeat of BTS. Let's protect this bond, together, forever. He didn't need to cry for the entire fandom to feel the storm that raged quietly inside him. The way his gaze softened when he mentioned Jimin's name. The way his voice hesitated, shaky, uncertain, before each sentence. As if measuring the emotional weight of every syllable. Jungkook wasn't just reminiscing. He was speaking from a place that had been wounded, maybe even misunderstood. And the ARMY felt it like a punch to the gut. Because the strongest bonds aren't always loud. Sometimes they're whispered in between stages, hidden in shared glances or tucked behind half smiles. And when that silence cracks, it breaks everyone. Do you know how many times Jimin gave me strength without saying a word? Jungkook murmured, eyes unfocused, almost like he was speaking to himself. When we debuted, I was just a kid. I had so many fears. So much I didn't understand. I'd get overwhelmed easily. There were days I didn't even want to leave the dorm. But he noticed, always. The way he said it, always, like it was a sacred truth, a vow long held between brothers. It wasn't the first time Jungkook spoke fondly of Jimin, but this time, it sounded like he was preserving something, like a fragile photograph kept safe from the elements, like a memory too sacred to let the world tear apart. What happened behind the scenes? What whispers reached Jungkook's ears that made him feel the need to speak this way? Was it fan wars? Was it the overwhelming pressure that often spills into speculation and unnecessary comparisons? Or was it just the natural ache of someone who's watched his closest friend be misunderstood too many times? Jungkook didn't say. He didn't need to. The pain was already there, painted across his face like a silent bruise. Sometimes people forget we're human, he added. They write stories with no truth in them. They twist the moments we share. And they forget that what we have is real, not for the cameras, not for performance, but for each other. The heaviness in his words rippled through the fandom. Posts began appearing across platforms, long threads of appreciation, fan edits of their most heartfelt moments, emotional letters written to both Jungkook and Jimin. The world stopped to listen, because when Jungkook opens his heart, he doesn't just speak, he bleeds. And this time he bled for Jimin. He smiled then, small but genuine. Jimin is one of the kindest people I know, and I just want him to know that no matter what happens, I've got him, like he always had me. There it was again, that quiet devotion. The kind of loyalty that doesn't need loud declarations. The kind of friendship that stands at your side in the darkest hour, without needing to be asked. As armies watched, thousands whispered, "We got you too," and Jungkook continued, shifting in his seat. We grew up together, literally. We were teenagers when we met. We saw each other fall, cry, laugh, and stand back up. We fought sometimes. But even in those moments, I never stopped caring. That's what makes this friendship special. He paused again, breathing in deep. I just hope that people don't try to ruin something they can't understand. A hush fell over the fandom. It felt like a veiled warning. Not against anyone specifically, but against the noise. The speculation. The division that sometimes slips into even the tightest communities. Because even the strongest friendships need protection. Even the most sacred bonds can be fragile in the face of public pressure. Was this a moment of reckoning for the fandom? A reminder to reflect, to support with love instead of scrutiny?